What's up, everybody? See if we are unmuted here. Bryan, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing all right.
All
Doing a
right, Dexter.
live. Doing a live impromptu. We did not
Doing.
plan this.
We did not plan this live impromptu edition of New York Got Game. Dexter Henry, Bryan Fonseca here, and we're here to talk about stuff like we've been doing all offseason. We've had a lot to talk about with the Knicks. It's been a little quiet. Summer is pretty much over. We just passed Labor Day. It is a wrap for that. But we got some news today, or I'd say update to a story, right? An update to a story, an exclusive story by our guy, Knicks beat reporter Stefan Bondy, and the fact that Ben Simmons is a guy that the Knicks are interested. He is interested in two teams. The Knicks are, by two teams, excuse me, the Knicks are one of them for that final roster spot. And we've talked about this a lot through the offseason. And so if we're going to talk about it, there's no better person to talk about it with than our guy, Stefan Bondy, beat writer for the New York Post, covering the Knicks, who's going to join us now to talk about this exclusive story that he has. Steph, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it been?
Summer's been good for me, man. It's been a little quiet lately. How's the summer been for you?
It's been pretty good, man. I mean, like you said, quiet lately, but it's about the ramp time of year, late September, when it's like, all right, the season's here. And next week, this week they got the Roommates podcast in Central Park. I'll be there, and then that'll be the first event I've been in a while. And then, a couple weeks later, then you're talking about training camp. And they have media day earlier than the rest of the league because they're going to Abu Dhabi. So, while the rest of the league has it in late September, I think they're September 23rd for media day.
Yeah, that would be my earliest Knicks media day I've ever been to so far. So that'd be good. Steph will be going to Abu Dhabi. Steph's getting a little bit of travels early in the season, getting those miles up there. So that is good. But Steph, it's been quiet. Bryan and I have talked about this throughout the offseason about what the Knicks should do, with the final veterans minimum they could offer. Ben Simmons, was in the mix reportedly, but now you are coming out that the Knicks are one of two teams interested in Ben Simmons. And if I'm being really honest with you, I just have one question here. Why are the Knicks interested in Ben Simmons?
Well, I mean, the story, they've been interested. I mean, that's not new. They've been interested in. But
Right.
I think the story is that he's actually considering not playing at all in the NBA. So I reported that was my story. And so, like, he has these two teams interested in him, but he's also saying, a guy who's made $200 million in his career, he's obviously dealt with injuries recently, especially to his back. And, with the mental side of the game lately, he's been through a lot of stuff with Philly. So there's that element that this is a guy who could possibly just say, you know what, I don't want to play.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if he does not want to play, and even though the Knicks have interest, Steph, is that the best thing for the Knicks? Because I don't necessarily see this as a good fit here. You spoke to a league source who says they could see him, playing in that backup point guard role. Do you see him at all as a good fit for the Knicks if he wants to play?
Listen, originally I said no, and I've been talking to people. There is genuine interest in the guy, and I think if you look at it from the perspective of if you want to sell it, you look at it from this perspective of they've already got their top 9 guys locked in. He'd be the backup point guard, not a lot of pressure. He's not expected to play a lot of minutes. He's going to fill in, defensively as Jalen Brunson's backup. And, you play on the upside. And that's if you don't have any other options. Listen, they are also interested in Landry Shamet. They're also talking to, a third option. So listen, Ben's, has genuine interest from the Knicks. And if you were to sell that, to me, it'd be the upside and, the possibility of him recapturing what made him an all-star earlier in his career in Philly. I mean, listen, there's evidence lately that that's not going to happen, but there's not a lot of pressure on a signing like that. We are literally talking about the 10th man.
Understood there. Bryan, I'll let you go 1 second. I just got one more thing for Steph, because, when you talk about all that and him being the backup to Jalen Brunson possibly and the upside there, but what if you're in a situation, Steph, and I hate to say this and put this out there for the Knicks fans, but what if Jalen Brunson gets hurt and then Ben Simmons, who we know doesn't like to shoot, he's allergic to shooting, he's your starting point guard there. Is that a good thing for the Knicks?
Your starting point guard. I do not think he'd ever be the starting point. I don't think they put him in that position where he's playing a ton of minutes as the number one point guard. That's my opinion, but I have no idea. They have Miles McBride. They have Tyler Kolek. So what, you want Malcolm Brogdon? Obviously he's probably going to be tough to get because you're not going to offer a lot of money. Well, you can't offer a lot of money. You can only sign for the vet minimum, and you can't offer him a lot of playing time because you're saying you're going to be Jalen Brunson's backup. That was part of the problem with Marcus Smart. They had contact about Marcus, but they couldn't offer him a big enough role. So I don't know where Malcolm Brogdon ends up. Obviously, he's a guy that you could plug in as a starting point guard, but who are you looking at Asian market at this point that you as your backup point guard?
I mean, I don't know, man. We've talked about this a long time, and I guess that brings me to another thing. Is it that the fact that the Knicks even looking in this direction, does that mean they don't trust Jordan Clarkson or see him more as an off-ball guard than playing the backup role? Does that signal that to you at all whatsoever? Because I agree with you. The options are not great out there, and I think it's a tough sell on Malcolm Brogdon because he was going to want more minutes, and you also have to be concerned about his injury history. So does that say that the Knicks are maybe not certain about their backup point guard spot, that they even have interest in Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I mean they've not sold on Tyler Kolek as a backup point guard because that's evident in the way they've been moving. He clearly summer league. So the one hole, if you look at the second unit and the reserves, is backup point guard. I think Miles McBride is more of a two guard in a point guard's body. So that's the one hole. And, it was a hole they had last year. They filled it with campaign ultimately, but now they're facing a similar situation where they're going to need, or they don't need, but if you're looking at the top 10 in the rotation, what they're missing most is a backup point guard. Now, they could just sign Landry Shamet and figure out ways to do it. And, Tyler may get another shot at that. But I think the way they've been operating and who they've been talking to, I don't think they're sold on Tyler Kolek as the backup point guard.
Do they not see Jordan Clarkson as the backup point guard, Steph?
He's more of a shoot first guard. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you would consider him a backup point guard as much as a microwave scorer off the bench. I think that's the role that they envision him in. And when I'm talking point guard, I'm more talking about somebody that can set up the offense and facilitate and stuff like that. That's a hole that I see in the roster.
I guess my question would be because, well, one, none of these dudes are point guards anymore. Like, they're all coming off the bench. Like, they're all shooting first. Like, almost all of them except maybe Chris Paul, Tyrese Halliburton. Jordan Clarkson's playmaking has gotten better over the last couple of years. His assist numbers have gotten, like, better in Utah progressively, which is part of why I thought they would have signed him to begin with. So I'm a little confused. Like, are they looking at Ben Simmons with the idea of, hey, this could be the backup point guard on the roster, and playing him with Jordan Clarkson consistently? I'm wondering that because of what that would mean for other lineups, or is that?
Think about it. Theoretically, Jalen Brunson is playing 35 minutes a game. How much that leaves? 13 minutes when he's not on the floor. And then you take some minutes where, like you said, you have Miles McBride at point guard. We're talking about the 10th man. Like, you're not talking about a lot of minutes. So yeah, like, the minutes are going to go elsewhere. we are talking about the 10th man here.
You also
Jordan
mentioned
Clarkson's gonna get a ton of minutes as a reserve. Like that's already penciled in there.
Yeah. You also mentioned you mentioned Landry Shamet, and Ben Simmons is the headliner. Who else are they entertaining right now for this other roster spot that they have open?
I mean, I heard Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how realistic that is, just based on their situation. And I heard Malik Beasley. The problem with Malik Beasley is that twofold. While he's been his attorney or his agent said that he's no longer a target, he's still being investigated to some degree, and there's still the possibility that he will be suspended by the NBA. So that's not going to be cleared up. And let's say it does get cleared up and he's, cleared by the NBA and he faces no suspension, he's going to want money. And the Knicks can't really offer that. There's teams that could offer a lot more. So I've always viewed the Knicks as a long shot there. There has been interest. So those are the names that I've heard. Sometimes somebody pops up out of nowhere, but I can't confirm that those are names that the Knicks have expressed interest in and have had contact with.
So Simmons, Brogdon, Shamet, Beasley, are they absolutely targeting just guards?
I have not heard anything to suggest otherwise, and maybe they're. I don't know what big would make sense, but I've heard those names, and I've heard specifically that they want a backup guard. And Landry Shamet is kind of a wing. He's definitely not a backup point guard.
Right.
But he clearly, he showed at the end. He showed resolve. By coming back from that shoulder injury, and actually, he's a dude. He's what I call him is he's a pro's pro. Like he's just a professional. He comes in immaculate shape. He rehabbed his shoulder. That's all he cared about was, getting in the gym and rehabbing that shoulder and getting back on the floor. And he did that successfully. Remember, this is the same injury that Julius Randle tried to recover from and couldn't. Landry Shamet was successful in coming back. And by the end of the year, he showed, that he actually improved and was part of the playoff rotation. So he's definitely under consideration, even though he's not a backup point guard.
Steph, I get the sense from you that your mind is maybe shifted on Ben Simmons of being part of this roster. You've said repeatedly here, we're talking about the 10th man, and you're absolutely right. We're not talking about a lot of minutes here. If the Knicks, first part is as to your reporting, Ben Simmons has to want to play. If he does want to play and the Knicks do sign him, do you view him as a good fit, somebody that can help this team, even if it is as the 10th man?
I mean, it's an upside play, where you're banking on something that he hasn't shown for a while. So, listen, I thought he did well with the Clippers towards the end of last season. There were obviously issues in Philadelphia that he still hadn't gotten over when he was in Brooklyn, both health-wise and mental-wise. It's an upside play. And I don't think that there is, it's such a huge gamble when you're talking about the 10th man. So you could sell me on it for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting goes. How much have you been watching Eurobasket, and did you see what Gershon Yabusele did the other day, dropping 36?
Yeah, man, he killed it. I think Knicks fans should be very excited about him. We're talking about the different options that the Knicks signed and who they might sign, but he's the big signing in free agency. He's the guy that I think will provide a lot of depth in the front court, and that much needed because you don't know about the health of Mitchell Robinson. Karl Anthony Towns has different injuries throughout his career, and he was banged up. So here's a guy who could fill in at the 4, he could fill in at the 5, and he clearly showed, not just last season, but the other day against Poland, how much he's improved from the 3-point line. And you always want to bank on people that have shown that type of improvement because it shows that they can even get better. If he's gotten that much better in a few years from when he started with Boston and basically couldn't crack the NBA to where he is now, it is pretty much a remarkable arc, a remarkable development story. And so you bank on that and you think it's going to continue. And, he's looked great for France. France is a European powerhouse and he's the captain of the team. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think it does. We have some more stuff we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks, breaking down Gershon Yabusele and possible impact with the Knicks. Steph, for you right now, I think for a lot of fans, the thing Bryan and I kept hearing is what are they going to do with this last roster spot, which is why I know for the fans tune in, they're so interested about could it be Ben Simmons, could it be Malcolm Brogdon, all the stuff. What do you think the biggest question this team has heading into training camp?
The biggest question they have heading into training camp is they have a new coach. I mean, that's the big change. I mean, we talk about Yabusele, he's a big upgrade, I think, and Jordan Clarkson, their bench is a lot better. That's a given. What we don't know is how this team is going to look stylistically, schematically. Mike Brown has talked to the media once. We don't know what his plans are beyond, what's trickled in from as far as playing faster and having a more inclusive offense. I'm curious to see what that looks like, and how you can get Jalen Brunson to be less ball dominant. I'm skeptical. I think he's such a great player on the ball that if he's been that way throughout his career, whether Villanova, in high school, wherever, if you take the ball out of his hands, can he be as effective? And then how he incorporates the wings, how you feed OG and Mikal and keep them happy, how you keep Miles McBride happy. So I think the big question is, with a new coach, what this team will look like, what this offense specifically will look like. And I think that's the biggest question heading into training camp.
When should we expect a decision maybe on this Ben Simmons potential signing, if you want to even call it that? Like, are they absolutely trying to get this done within the next week or so? Because as you mentioned, they do have training camp before most other teams in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a need to get something done like weeks ahead of training camp, because I don't know where Ben is now. Maybe he's in Australia. I have no idea. Miami, probably. He's always in Miami. So if you sign him now, would you fly him to New York and start right away? I don't know. I don't know how much of a priority that is, and not just for Ben, but if they sign Landry Shamet or whomever else, I would assume, for obvious reasons, the transition for Landry Shamet would be the easiest. So, I don't know about a timeline. I don't think it's imperative for the 10th man to come in and start working out at the training facility weeks in advance before training camp starts. But, I'm not really sure.
Steph, I mean, to be fair, it might be imperative for somebody who has had questions about how much he's enjoyed basketball throughout his career in the public.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think you want to see commitment from somebody like Ben for sure. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how much of a priority that is for the Knicks to get a deal done with Ben or whomever else as soon as possible. I wish I had an answer, but I don't.
Steph, you mentioned and you mentioned this in your reporting too, but and you also mentioned this here with us, the issues that Ben Simmons has had in his career, both physically and also mentally. That's been well documented. I know you've talked to people. I've talked to people about this with him around the league. Is that a major concern for the Knicks, or is it not? Because there is clearly interest here. Is that a major concern, or do they feel like bringing him into this core group, even with a new coach, is something they don't have to worry about?
I think the way we'll find that out is whether that contract, if it ever happens, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, there's a lot of things at play here, whether that contract is guaranteed or not guaranteed. So I'm sure Ben wants a guaranteed contract. Do the Knicks feel that they have to have insurance on that and do, a guarantee on January 10th or whatever? I don't know. But, obviously with Ben, there's enough evidence that he's gone through mentally with a lot of stuff. His head is not in there a lot of times. So, yeah, I mean, it would be a concern for any team, the Knicks included.
Who's maybe asking for is strong, but like who's leading the charge here? Is it just Leon Rose? Does Mike Brown have any input on this already, or Is it just the front office?
Well, I think Leon's the head guy, and he's going through a lot of stuff, the different options. But, Mike Brown put, and, I've heard different things about players that he likes and what he, as far as the dynamic of who has more power. Obviously, Tom Thibodeau did have a lot in terms of the personnel and who they would sign. I'm not sure that Mike Brown has that kind of sway yet. That's something that, we'll figure out more as this goes along. Because remember, they basically had their team intact. Everybody signed before Mike Brown took over.
That's a good point there, Steph, too, which is, I think, why for me, I wondered so much, okay, how does a Ben Simmons or Ben Simmons type, and when you combine his physical challenges and the mental health challenges we've seen with him, how does he fit into Mike Brown's offense? But to your point, we don't know a lot about how Mike Brown's offense is going to look at all whatsoever. So there's so many questions to that. And how does somebody like Ben Simmons, who's a little offensively limited, how does that work with him? I'm not so sure, but we'll see. I said earlier in offseason, I got to keep it a buck. I said Ben Simmons, hard pass, wouldn't do it. I understand what Steph is saying here. We are talking about the 10th man. And the contract, Steph is 100% right on this. The contract will say a lot about how committed the Knicks are to this or not to this. Steph, before we get you out of here, because I know you are a big football fan, for people who don't know, Steph is a must follow on Twitter on Sundays, especially for one specific team. So because Steph cares so much, I have to ask him, what's your prediction for amount of wins for the New York Giants this year? Because you care as much about the Giants as anybody else, as I know on Twitter. And so what's your prediction for total wins for the Giants here?
So you're breaking up a little, and it's fitting we're breaking up as you bring up the Giants, because they're a disjointed team and they're terrible. They've been terrible for a while. And if you look at their schedule, they probably have the toughest schedule in the NFL. I give them 2 wins, 2-15.
2.
You got them worse than they were last year. What if I told you that?
Why would they be better?
Russell Wilson, someone might say.
Because of the quarterback. Is that it? Russell Wilson.
I'm not saying
Jackson Dart's not even gonna play.
I'm not saying I believe this, Steph. I'm just telling you what people will say. And I can tell you that there are people who work with us, fellow colleagues, who've told me they think the Giants can win anywhere from 79.
Go through their schedule. Go through their schedule. Where they're win.
I've done this myself.
Where were they?
I came up with 5.
Who do you have them beating? Does it?
I thought I said if, and this is a big if.
I can read it off. I have it.
If things go well, they could possibly beat the Commanders, but that's a tall ask. One of the games. I do not have them beating the Eagles. Do not have them beating the Cowboys in a game. Does anybody have the schedule up there right now in front of you?
Yeah, I have it right here.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. Let's see where me and
so
Steph...
you have them going 0-6. You got them going 0-6 in the division. You got them going 0-6 in the division.
I gave them a win. I think they'll sneak a win in somewhere against some. It might be. They'll get a win somewhere. I don't think they go 0-6. 1-5. I'm going 1-5 in the division.
All right. Week 1 at Washington. I think we're all going to say that's a loss.
I'm going to say L.
At Dallas.
I'm going to say L.
Loss.
Okay. Kansas City at home.
Loss.
Sunday Night Football too.
Loss.
Not great. Dex also a loss. Okay.
Yeah. I was just letting Steph say it. It's more enjoyable for him to say it. I was letting him say it.
Chargers at home.
I could see them getting this somehow because the Harbaugh offense run the ball a lot. I could see it. I could see it. I wouldn't bet on it. I'm just not that I bet, but I'm just saying I could see it. That's all.
Here's the first one for me.
All right, so let's just do it. Let's do it like this. You got to be confident that they'll win. You just got to say that's
okay.
All right, so you're not.
So I'll be honest with you. In the first 4, Steph, not confident.
No, but week 5 at New Orleans, I'll give them that one.
They better win that. They better win that.
That's one of the two. That's one of the two.
I want to know what Steph's second one is. That's what I want to know.
So after that, they're home against the Eagles. That's Thursday night football, by the way.
Loss.
I'm going
Loss.
victory. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
At Denver the week after. That's a loss.
Loss.
At
Mile High Stadium, they're losing.
At Philly again.
That's
8.
a tough stretch right there after the Saints game. That is a tough stretch.
Home against San Francisco. Not a lot easier.
Nope, the loss for that.
At Chicago week 10.
All right, that's the second win.
You give them Chicago in Soldier Field.
I'm gonna give them that win too. I'm with Steph on this. I'm gonna give them the win.
I don't know. Maybe.
Is Jackson Dart starting at the time?
You know what?
Probably.
I mean, if they're already 1-6 or whatever, maybe
against Caleb Williams, which who knows? Week 11.
Right.
Week 11, home against Green Bay.
Oh, Michael Parsons is about to get all of the one of the quarterbacks back there. That's all I'll say.
A lot of people's Super Bowl pick right now. Speaking of, at Detroit the week after.
Loss.
Jesus, the schedule's brutal. At New England, Monday Night Football.
That was one of my wins. That's a win for me.
New England's defense might be all right. I don't know.
At New England, I don't know. I mean, that's two bad teams going at each other in New England. I guess it could go either way.
Monday night. Week 14, they're off. So they have a late bye.
That's a win.
Week 15, home against Washington.
Loss.
I'm giving them one of these Washington games, but I'm gonna go with that one. That's my fourth win. I'm gonna go there.
Home Minnesota week 16.
No.
Loss.
At the Raiders week 17.
That's a win.
I don't think so. I have the Raiders over 6.5 wins.
We can't give them the Raiders and the Bears. I can give them one of them.
Damn. Can't the Giants have nice things, Steph? Can't they have some nice things? I'm just saying.
No, that's not my fault. I had nothing to do with it.
And then the last one is home against Dallas at MetLife.
Loss.
I'm sticking with my
if
5.
They get to
because they're gonna be they're gonna be tanking. They're gonna be tanking. They're gonna want to lose. That's a loss in the last week because Dallas gonna be playing for something.
Maybe.
All right.
I can there's like 2 with confidence, and then the rest it's like if their defense is good, maybe they get to like 5, 6, 7.
Right.
That's kind of where it's at. I don't think they're like a sneaky playoff team, though, but we'll see.
They're not getting a 7.
Oh, I definitely don't think they're getting 7. I said I think they get to 5. Here's what's going to happen. This was going to happen, and this is going to make everything with Steph more interesting on Twitter. This is more interesting than what he tweets about with the Knicks. Let's say, I'm gonna put a scenario out here. And Steph, you know the person I'm thinking about, because when we see him at Knicks games, he's gonna be hyped and he's gonna get in your face. You know who I'm talking about. He writes for another publication. I'm not gonna put his name out there. But
okay,
if the Giants somehow start 2-0, they're gonna be coming for you, man. They're gonna be like, oh, Steph, they're on the way to winning the NFC East. It's gonna happen. You know,
they're already talking like that, and they're owing. Listen, I know they're delusional, but also I know you're talking about Steve Popper. He's already he was a big Daniel Jones guy, so like he's already pumping up the idea that Daniel Jones is starting in Indy, like he got the starting job. So if the Giants are now good without Daniel Jones, then I could rub it in his face, like, yo, you were wrong the whole time.
This is fair, and Mr. Popper now has something to worry about. Although I will say this, our wonderful producer, Tommy Hogan, who is a Colts fan, he is not happy about Daniel Jones starting in Indianapolis. He's not happy about that at all. He is not happy at all. All right, so you got 2 wins for the Giants.
That's fair.
Rough time. This is the most we've talked with Steph about football on the show, but I had to ask him because it's football season. The team he roots for plays tomorrow. How many wins for your guys? What are we saying with your guys? The question was so good, it made Steph go silent.
Yo, you're breaking up. My bad.
It's fine. Did you? I don't know if you heard me. How many wins for your guys? Since we asked about the other team, we gotta ask about your guys. How many wins for your guys?
Oh, the Eagles.
Yeah.
14 wins. 14-3. Another Super Bowl championship, of course. And they got a tough schedule, but I mean, they're the best team in the NFC. I don't think there's much debate about that. I mean, you tell me what team is better. The Lions, no. 14-3, another back-to-back Super Bowl championships.
See, and we got a lot of Eagle fans that work here at the New York Post. They can't. Y'all have too many nice things, and what I realize is that it is going to warm Steph's heart if the Eagles finish with the record that he thinks they'll finish with, and the Giants also finish with the record that he thinks they're going to finish with. So if the Eagles are 14-3 and the Giants are 2-15, come December when we're doing these videos, Steph is going to be real happy. Real happy. You're going to see a smile on his face. He's going to be in a good mood. That's it. Steph, real last thing before we let you go. I know it's early. The Knicks could still sign another person. What do you think this team could do in the regular season since the schedule's out? What do you think they could do in terms of wins? Where do you see the Knicks in terms of wins since we're out here making predictions? How many wins do you see for the Knicks?
55 wins, and that's a high number. I realize that, but also the Eastern Conference has a lot of bad teams. So there's a lot of just W's hanging out there just to be taken easily. There's going to be a lot of teams tanking. You know, if you look at the team in the East in terms of talent, whether depending on how you stack them up against the Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers have already had injury problems. So, you know, I think they're a 55-win team. They could be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference.
No, I think that's fair. I like that number, 55 wins. It's a high number. We'll see. You know who doesn't like the number Steph gave? Giants fans. They don't like that at all. That is Stefan Bondy. Please check out his article exclusive that we had in the Post today about the Knicks still being interested in Ben Simmons, who is pondering whether or not he is going to play. Steph, we appreciate you, man. Thank you for the time.
All
right, Stefan Bondy.
Thanks,
joining us there. Great time there. That was fun talking to Steph a little bit about the football. Steph and I will usually do off camera throughout the season during the NFL season, which will be interesting. 2 wins for the Giants, man.
I think they'll get more than that. The Knicks over under, by the way, I think is at 53.5 now.
I like 55.
Slightly higher before that, earlier in the offseason. Maybe some people bet the under, but 55 is kind of the number that is floating around in my head, but I'm not betting it. Because I think if it's over, it's not like a big over. You know what I mean?
Nah, I don't think so too. Somebody asked me the other day, and I said I could see anywhere between 55 to 58 wins.
58, yeah.
But I like that lower end of 55. I could see them getting as high as 58. I could see it. Obviously, health is a factor. I don't mind that over 53.5. I would be inclined to take that, but we'll see. But I thought that was a good conversation with Steph. I thought there's a lot to think about in terms of what the Knicks can do. Also, Ben Simmons, is he interested in playing? I don't like the idea of him around the team. I think that's what it is for me.
I'm still not. I'm still like eh. I mean, especially given one of the options Steph laid out for us was like, oh, he might not play. It's like, oh, so if this is something that's being thought about, I'm not sure why you want him in the midst of, you know, the most pressurized season in Knicks basketball that we're about to experience in, I don't know, 30 plus years.
I think that's the thing for me. When do you just hit the nail on the head when it comes to talking about the mental part of it and the mentality of him, and also I look, I'll put it like this. It is September 3rd. Okay. If you are pondering on September 3rd whether or not you want to play, I don't think that's a good thing. Let me also be clear. When you are 29 years old and you've had the history that Ben Simmons has had, if you're pondering on September 3rd if you want to play and you're Al Horford, different story. You're older. You've been doing it for a long time.
Al wants to play, by the way. They just
Right.
haven't figured out the Kuminga thing. So
right, and so he's waiting on that. Looks like Al Horford's going to play to Golden State. We don't know. I just used him as an older player as an example, for an example here. Ben Simmons is a much younger player, but has had the history that he's had. And Steph's talked about that, and it's also in his article. And it seems like the Knicks are some concern. I did think his answer was absolutely fascinating about the fact that a contract will tell you a lot, which I agree. If this is a non-guaranteed contract that the Knicks offer him, let's just say they are interested in offering him a non-guaranteed
because I'd be surprised if he took that.
I'd be surprised if he took it, but also I also would understand why the Knicks would offer it, because that says we don't believe you. We need more. We need more people. We need to see more. Period. We need to see more.
Yeah, if they offer a non-guaranteed, and if Ben Simmons, if you get offered a non-guaranteed anything and you're on the fence about doing the job to begin with,
just stay home. You know,
just don't bother.
Yeah, don't
you know
bother.
what I mean? Like, just on principle. Like, if you watching this are getting an offer for a job that you can kind of take it or leave it, and it's non-guaranteed, it's like, if we keep you past a certain date, then we'll guarantee it. And you might not be that motivated. Not saying this is the case for Ben Simmons. That's why I'm just making it a general thing. At that point, I would just be like, nah, I'm good. There's also options, and you could also play overseas if you really want to play, have a bigger role. And I feel like we are in this time in the NBA now where we're seeing more guys who are good enough to be in the NBA not be in the NBA and just go overseas, be it the league just moving away from veterans that are like 28, 29, 30 years old, treating them like they're 34, 35, 36. And then other guys, probably would want to have bigger roles elsewhere. But I don't know if that's what Ben Simmons is necessarily aspiring to. Like, nobody knows what he wants. And I think ultimately, if they sign him, it's because he'll want to be there, and if they don't, then we don't even know, because Steph didn't necessarily rank them when we asked, but we don't even know if he's the top choice. So
we don't know that. We just know there's interest. That doesn't mean there's top interest. That's a good point. Yeah. We don't know.
But he also mentioned, Beasley, and I imagine that's the one that would surprise me the most, given everything surrounding that.
Right.
And then there's also the familiarity with Landry Shamet. Are you a little surprised, though, that it just seems to be guards?
Yeah,
I understand not really pursuing a big, but I still think you've been
making this point all off season long, right? And you've been saying, especially if they start the double big lineup, and don't worry, we're getting to the starting lineup.
It tells me they won't. By the way, they probably won't. But
you're saying by not the fact that they're not interested in another big, that tells you that you don't. Okay, I see that. I think that I am a little surprised at it because of the depth issues. Because, okay, well, what if Mitchell Robinson goes down? Now Huck Porty's immediately thrust in the back of row. I'm not saying he is or isn't ready for that. The things I hear around the organization is that they feel very good about Huck Porty. I do also agree with Steph. Them looking for this backup point guard and even putting Ben Simmons' name out there tells you they're not as confident in Tyler Kolek coming off of his summer league. Maybe he could still earn that. He's got a lot to prove in training camp. We all understand that. But, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. Now, I don't think the big market is great out there either. We've gone through this. We're talking about Bismack Biyombo. We're talking about Thomas Bryant, right?
Thomas Bryant was about to sign in Greece recently. I wonder if he
Bol
actually did that.
We're talking about
forever a project. Bol.
Right. It's not that great. Shout out to our guy Greg in the chat. He said
Mo Bamba out there somewhere.
I'm sure he is out there somewhere. He said, Ben Simmons should retire now. Greg also agrees with you that the Knicks need another center. I
think they do.
I found it interesting in what both of us asked Steph, in the fact of that, what does this say about what they think about Jordan Clarkson and how they view him? I do find that interesting, and that's something to watch, I think, as we get to training camp. And I think as you talk more to Mike Brown, you get through these preseason games and all this stuff, you're going to do it. Al Cintron is in the chat with Al Cintron energy. Of course, Al Cintron is not here for Ben Simmons. Is all I'm going to say.
To be fair, I also think, Like, I was confused about the Colt because I'm like, Clarkson's a backup point guard. I know he's not traditional point guard. Trust me, I miss traditional point guards. But if they really want someone to set up the offense, this tells me, if anything, Kolek is the one to be looking at sideways because, as Bondy noted, and we all know this, Clarkson's going to play. And probably a significant amount. By significant, I mean 20s, mid-20s, maybe even high 20s. It depends. Like, he's going to have to play with Jalen Brunson a pretty decent amount if he's the true sixth man on the roster or seventh or whatever it is. But
I'm with you. Clarkson's playmaking is better than people may realize the last couple of years on not good Utah teams, where at some points he was averaging over 4.5 assists a game.
And I've been saying all offseason, if you're going to have a third string point guard battle, I don't even want to call it a backup one, because let's just call Clarkson the backup point guard, but it's between Tyler Kolek and a veteran. And it being Ben Simmons actually makes some sense, but it also doesn't give me a vote of confidence for Tyler Kolek. And by the way, the Knicks don't owe Tyler Kolek anything. Like, they don't owe him anything. They drafted him where they drafted him. He didn't see the floor much last year. People blame Tibbs for that. You saw what you saw in the summer league, where he played well one time, and the shooting was very, very bad outside of that. Now, you make the point, he wasn't really playing with knockdown shooters. Otherwise, one, he'd have more assists. Two, he'd have better looks. So we'll have to see as it progresses. But even so, the best case scenario for Tyler Kolek, the question that I have is, how is he going to hold up defensively? Because as soon as he walks onto the floor, he's a bullseye.
Yeah, we saw this last year. I remember specifically in the Clippers game at the Garden, where he came in, not Landry Shamet, sorry, Cameron Payne got injured, and James Harden targeted Tyler Kolek relentlessly over and over and over again.
And now, if you're pro Ben Simmons, that's the one thing you could cling to. Is
his defense.
That's the one thing you have.
Yeah, one thing he's still good at is defense.
That, and he's still one of the most graceful looking ball handlers from 3-point line to 3-point line. But inside of there,
he ain't shooting.
He ain't shooting.
I think my thing is, I don't know. Again, it's the mentality that I worry about with him around the team. And do you want the mentality? If you've talked to people who've been around the Nets or the Sixers, I did hear some good things around the Clippers, but there's been things about his mentality and then how committed is he? And see, that's the point that Steph was making. If he's not committed, or they don't believe that he's committed, they're going to get that non-guaranteed offer. And then Ben Simmons might be like, I'll stay home. I might do that. I might do that here. I think it's a great point you made here, and I think people should be cautious on this while we talk to Steph. The Knicks are one of two teams interested. I don't know who the other team is. I would love to know who that other team is as well, too, and why they are willing to go down this road. But we don't know if the interest level is high. That doesn't mean that they're more interested in him than Malik Beasley, who Steph said is a long shot for the reasons he mentioned. I thought Steph made good points that I had brought up when I had this conversation with Sean from Knicks Film School a couple weeks ago, that while his agent has said these things about him, does not mean that he is fully cleared. Those are two different things. It sounds very semantical, but Malik Beasley is not fully cleared of this. He's still under investigation. He's not fully cleared of it. So while I do think he'd be a good fit, also, Greg said Charlotte's the other team.
I hope not. I want to take their over
in there. Yeah, see, you're out here saying he's going to mess things up. Hey, Al Cintron has a question for you in chat. He said Canelo or Crawford. He took Crawford by decision, he said. What do you say?
I'll post my preview in a few days.
Oh,
to be fair, though,
go to his content.
To be fair, on my YouTube channel, I did explain why months ago I'm like, Terrence Crawford's going to win this fight. But I'll explain why in the days leading up to the fight.
Go check that out. Look, to put a bow on this, it's interest. This is great story and great content for us on September 3rd in the offseason. We appreciate everybody who's checking in. I know there's a lot of interest in what the Knicks should do with their final veteran minimum spot, how they spend it, all that good stuff. There's a lot of interest in that. There'll be a lot of interest in the starting lineup with the Knicks and what they do. Do they go double big? Do they put Deuce McBride in the starting lineups? There's going to be a lot of talk about that. We'll have some good stuff in the next couple of weeks as we dive into some of the Knicks role players, some of the signings they made this offseason. We'll have something coming for you guys on Gershon Yabusele, who's playing well. And you heard Steph talk about how he thinks Knicks fans should be encouraged by what they're seeing from him in Eurobasket. I'm inclined to agree with that. I'm very much inclined to agree with that. And we'll break down why we think that is and the things we think he can do good in the Knicks offense, even though there's a lot of questions about this offense. That's what makes the season so intriguing. I agree with Steph.
Yeah.
No more questions. How's this offense going to look? I think that makes it fantastically intriguing. We will see, man. We will see.
And if you're so inclined, Gershon Yabusele plays again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. France versus Iceland. France is...
you look. Hey, man, if you're looking for some basketball, the basketball junkies like ourselves have been watching Eurobasket. I've watched a little bit of France. Got to catch some of the game yesterday while I was on the go. You can watch that. But listen, September 23rd, Knicks Media Day. Early media day. Then they're out in Abu Dhabi. Knicks season is right upon us. I'm excited. Basketball is about to be back soon, Brian. I'm excited. Let's go.
NBA basketball.
NBA basketball. We do.
Because I feel like I America Cup, Eurobasket, Asia Cup, Afrobasket, WNBA. Like I've had plenty of basketball during.
You've had plenty of basketball. I have not done the other cups.
Like I've been covering plenty of basketball.
For me, it's been WNBA. Heavy. New episode of Liberty lately coming soon this week with Madeline Kenny. But it's been a lot of that. I have been tuned and tapped into the Eurobasket, which has been fantastic.
Yes.
Rounds coming up with that, and hopefully Gershon Yabusele is a part of that. So that'll be really interesting to see what Gershon Yabusele is able to do there. But yay. Thank you to everybody for rocking with us on this impromptu live that we had with our guy, Stefan Bondy. Thanks to Stefan Bondy for joining us here on New York Got Game Live. We will be doing more of these lives like we did last year every week with myself and Bryan. We will be coming to you once a week live, as well as the weekly episodes that we will be dropping on Mondays. There'll be a lot more new stuff to talk about with New York Got Game. A lot of new things coming up down the road. That is Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. NFL season starts tomorrow, people, so enjoy all of that. Let us know what you think in the comments. Should the Knicks be interested in Ben Simmons? Should they pass on him? Should it be a hard pass? Should they be looking at somebody else? How many wins do you think the Giants are going to get this year? Who your favorite football team is going to get this year? Let us know what you think. And if you have any other questions for us about the Knicks that we will answer in another mailbag down the road, please let us know as well, too. He's Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter, and we will catch you next time in another edition of New York Got Game. Peace.